In January 1595, the people of Istanbul witnessed the procession. 19 coffins were carried out. Some were infants still at the breast. Strangled the night before, by the order of their own brother, the new Sultan, Mehmed III. It was the law. For centuries, the most powerful empire on earth survived due to a single, terrifying rule. This is the story of the law of fratricide. Unlike European monarchies, the Ottomans did not practice primogeniture. In England or France, the eldest son automatically got the crown. But the Turks were originally nomadic warriors from the steppes. Their tradition was different. God didn't choose the heir by birth order. God chose the heir by giving him victory in battle. This meant that every time a sultan died, the clock started ticking. All his sons, whether they were born of the same mother or different concubines, had an equal claim. It was a winner-take-all death match. The prize was the world. The penalty for losing was execution. The precedent was set in blood on the battlefield of Kosovo in 1389. Sultan Murad I lay dying in his tent after being stabbed. Bayezid didn't just assume command. He immediately summoned his younger brother. Yaqub thought he was coming to receive orders. The shadows struggled violently for a second. Bayezid became the Sultan, known as the Thunderbolt. Captured by the warlord Timur. With the Sultan gone, his 4 remaining sons didn't unite. They tore the empire apart. For 11 years, civil war raged. Brothers fought brothers. Cities were burned. The empire nearly collapsed. They decided that the death of a prince was tragic, but the death of the empire was unacceptable. Enter Mehmed II. You know him as the Conqueror. The man who took Constantinople in 1453. But he was also a cold pragmatist. He decided to stop the ambiguity. He codified the practice into the legal constitution of the empire. In his code of law, the Canoname, he wrote these chilling words. It behooves him to kill his brothers. Let action be taken accordingly. Ottoman law, influenced by ancient Mongol traditions, stated that the blood of the royal dynasty was sacred. You could not behead a prince. You could not stab him. So, the weapon of choice became the bowstring, or sometimes a silk curtain cord. The executioners were often the palace mutes, because they could not hear the screams, and they could not speak of what they saw. Suleiman the Magnificent is often considered the greatest Ottoman Sultan. His eldest son, Mustafa, was beloved by the army. He was the perfect heir. But court politics are venomous. Suleiman became paranoid. Mustafa was warned by his friends not to go. They told him, "Your father will kill you." He walked into the Sultan's tent unarmed. But the mutes emerged from the shadows. Mustafa was strong. He fought them off. It's said he almost escaped. But then, Suleiman himself peered out from behind a curtain. He signaled the mutes to finish it. They threw the bowstring around Mustafa's neck. The struggle ended. Suleiman sat in the room with the body of his favorite son. When Mehmed III ordered the execution of his 19 brothers, the city of Istanbul did not cheer. The sight of tiny coffins, sized for infants. Even the clergy, the imams who usually sanction these deaths, were horrified. Mehmed III died in 1603. His son Ahmed I took the throne. He was only 13 years old. Ahmed had a brother named Mustafa. By law, Ahmed should have strangled him immediately. But Ahmed refused. Perhaps the ghost of the 19 coffins still haunted the palace. But in its place, the Ottomans invented something arguably worse. They called it the case. The cage. They were cut off from the outside world. No education in warfare, no experience in government. Lived in constant fear that the executioners might come for them anyway. This solved the problem of cruelty, but it created a problem of competence. Ruled by men who had spent 40 years in a single room. Men like Ibrahim the Mad, who was so disconnected from reality that he reportedly tossed gold coins into the Bosphorus, just to see the fish eat them. The survival of the fittest was over. The era of the survival of the eldest had begun, and the slow decline of the empire began with it. The Ottoman dynasty lasted for over 600 years. They paid for that longevity with the blood of their own kin. They traded the lives of their brothers for the life of the state. It leaves us with a dark irony. The Ottomans stopped killing their brothers to save their souls. But in doing so, they may have killed their empire. Historians often ask which was truly worse, the swift cruelty of the execution, or the slow, suffocating torture of the cage. The empire traded the blood of its brothers for the stability of the state. But in doing so, they severed the root of their strength. The warrior spirit that forged the empire was replaced by soft hands and idle minds. For 2 centuries, the Ottoman princes lived in a suspended reality. Surrounded by luxury, yet stripped of their humanity. They were alive, but they were already ghosts. The bowstring was put away. It was no longer needed to kill their bodies, because the silence of the cage had already killed their spirits. It is the ultimate tragedy of the dynasty. To save the tree, they poisoned the soil. And slowly, quietly, the great empire began to rot from the inside out. The Ottoman dynasty lasted for over 600 years, one of the longest in human history. They paid for that longevity with the blood of their own kin. The Ottomans stopped killing their brothers to save their souls, but in doing so, they may have killed their empire.